Hi, this is Brian out here in Arkansas, and I wanted to tell you about my problem that I had with detached retina that ended up in optic atrophy. It was early April 2018. My cousins were visiting from California. Sugar wants to be in the video. We were up brush hogging on our land. We have several acres out north of Rudy, Arkansas. And we were brush hogging with my nephew and clearing some weeds and brush and whatnot. And I lifted the brush hog slightly to go over a boulder to keep from breaking the blade. And a little piece of wood, like a chip of a stick or something, shot out and hit a tree and came back and hit me in my eye. I looked in my truck mirror and there was no damage to my eye. I mean, it looked fine. It wasn't red or bleeding or black or blue or nothing. It did sting. I'll admit, it did sting. It hurt. Maybe 3 or 4 minutes. And pretty much I went back to doing what I was doing and figured there was no damage to my eye. And technically there wasn't, as far as the outside of my eye goes. The next day, I started to see a small crescent moon of blackness in my visual field. It wasn't very big. I figured my eye was bleeding on the inside, maybe internally. Maybe there was some kind of damage, I don't know, but it just didn't seem like a big deal to me. So I didn't do anything that day. The next day, that little crescent moon at the bottom of my vision field doubled. It got a little bigger. And now it's like, well, it really is bleeding, or something's going wrong with my eye. But it didn't seem like an emergency. I had no idea that my retina was detaching. It was a small crescent moon of darkness. The rest of my vision was fine. Nothing wrong. On the third day, there was more of that eclipse. Almost half. I would say maybe 40%. I'm hoping my donkey doesn't knock my tripod over. He's over there sniffing my tripod. I started to feel there was something wrong with my eye, but again, I figured it was bleeding internally or something and that maybe it would go away. And our family had a trip planned to Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Bruce? That's Bruce messing with my tripod. Come on, Bruce, get over here. So we took our vacation for that weekend. Shut up, bird! We took our vacation for that weekend, and my eye was more than half eclipsed. It was probably 70% eclipsed where I couldn't see out of my eye. The rest of my vision field was fine. The 30% that I could see out of was fine. The bottom part was blackness. It was just eclipsed, like you said, over half. It was probably 70%. This was on a Sunday, so it'd been about 7 days since it happened. That's a long time. I didn't know it was my retina detaching. I didn't know anything about that. On the 8th day was a Monday, April 9th, and my cousin, who was visiting from California, drove me to the hospital in Fayetteville, Arkansas, the VA hospital. Dr. Kelsey Hagen looked in my eye with her eye equipment, the eye center there at the VA hospital, and saw that my retina was detached. And she practically declared an emergency and said, no, you've got to have this corrected immediately. My cousin Johnny drove me to Fort Smith. She set up an emergency eye appointment with an eye specialist, a retina specialist at Arkansas Retina in Fort Smith, Arkansas. My cousin Johnny drove me to Fort Smith, Arkansas from Fayetteville that same day, immediately.
I guess.
So this is Johnny driving right here.
Hey.
Oh, it's filming me or filming you? No, it's filming you. There you are.
We're on sunny side.
We were just coming back from Fayetteville. We're on our way to Fort Smith to the retina clinic, and Johnny was doing 100, and we come out of the tunnel into Chester, and the cop got in behind him and was going to pull him over. And so I had all my cards sitting here ready, my driver's license, military ID, my VA, and my letter showing that we just came from the eye clinic and we're heading to my surgery for my eye. I have a detached retina right now, and I'm wearing these sunglasses because my eyes are dilated. And we're on the way to my surgery to save my eyesight, and we were going to show this to the cop, but the cop got right behind Johnny and then went around us. So evidently he got another call, something else. So we were lucky on Interstate 49 there. On this April 9th, my dad's birthday, 2018. To Dr. Mayberry's eye center. I think it's called the Arkansas Retina Eye Center. And there, they looked at my eye and they said, yes, your retina's detached. You have to have surgery immediately to put that retina back in place. So they couldn't do it there in that clinic, and it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they had to set up an appointment in Little Rock at Baptist Hospital at the eye clinic. And so the VA had outsourced this operation to a civilian contractor, Baptist Hospital, Arkansas Retina, the eye clinic there. So wow, this was going to be a mess to get all this done, but they wanted the surgery done 7 o'clock the next morning, and that's a 2.5-hour drive to Little Rock. My cousins were catching a plane back to California that day. I am retired military, and I'm a member of the Robert Jack VFW Post 1322 out of Van Buren, and I was able to get some help from the VFW to drive me out there to Little Rock, and Chief Warrant Officer 4, retired, Mike Sylvia, stepped up to the plate to drive me out there. We got there at 7 o'clock in the morning, so needless to say, we had to leave early out of Fort Smith to get there on time. To prepare for the surgery, they want you to fast nothing after pretty much 10 o'clock the night before. Not even water. From 10 o'clock to that morning, they didn't even want me to drink water. I was amazed at that. I thought, wow, when you're fasting, you can at least drink water, right? And they were pretty mad at me. They made me sign a waiver that I drank, I don't know, 12-ounce bottle of water before the surgery. You can't drink water. You can't have anything in your stomach before that surgery at all. So I got to the Baptist Hospital there in Little Rock, and I met with my surgeon, Dr. Pratt, and he is highly rated, one of the best in the industry. Dr. Pratt briefed me and told me what they were going to do with the 30-gauge eye needles, and pretty much going into my eye and sucking out the vitreous and inserting an eye bubble, or excuse me, a gas bubble into my eye in order to hold the retina in place so it can heal. So he had that talk with me before the anesthesiologist put me under, and basically told me, hey, we're going to put you under for about 15 minutes, but you are going to wake up during the surgery. So be advised, you're going to wake up and you're not going to be done, and we're going to be working on your eye. So I was like, okay. Let me say this much. From when the retina detached all the way until my surgery, I never had any pain. There was never any pain with any of this. The anesthesiologist, hey, no, kick me now. The anesthesiologist put me under, and I didn't wake up until about an hour later, I think it was. And they were still working on my eye. Dr. Pratt and his assistants, he had nurses or assistants helping him. They had a few 30-gauge needles in my eye. One of them was sucking out the vitreous. One of them was installing the gas bubble, and another one was his laser so he can do some work. When it was all over, he found between 10 and 17 tears in my retina. And he declared that that may have been caused by prior eye trauma. So we talked about that. He asked me, what prior trauma have you had in your life to cause your eye to be all messed up? And I couldn't think of anything really. until he mentioned a car wreck, and then I thought, yeah, I had airbags explode in my face. 2 of them in my life. One in 1998 and one in 2015. The one in 1998 actually shut my eye for 3 days. Black and blue, you know, it hurt. About a week after that accident in 1998, my vision was back to normal. I could see just normal the way I can normally see, and I never thought there was any eye damage that would be permanent. When he installed the gas bubble into my eye, some of that nitrogen went forward where it wasn't supposed to, and I'll play a clip of him talking after the surgery of what he found. If you have seen this video before and remember Dr. Pratt's picture and him talking here, take note that this is a revised video. I had to take that video down and remove Dr. Pratt's photo and audio recording. After asking Dr. Pratt if I could play his remarks here with his photo, he said no. He said I could use my recording of him after my surgery for my personal use, but that I cannot put it on YouTube or online. So here's some advice to you as a patient. Ask your doctor first if you can put his or her voice or video online. Okay, with all that said, Dr. Pratt said the surgery went fine to replace the retina. However, he saw 10 to 17 tears or rips that had to be repaired. When you have multiple tears, you're at high risk for reattachment. All of those tears form scar tissue, and scar tissue tends to pull the retina and detach it. The gas, SF6 sulfahexidine, is perfect for holding the retina in place while it heals. His instructions were to lay face down or on my left side for the next several days, perhaps weeks, only able to take 10 to 15-minute breaks where I could get up, sit up, go to the bathroom, eat, or read a book or read my text messages with my face looking down at my lap, but after the break, to go right back into the position while the gas is in the eye. I asked how long I would be in that position, and he said weeks. Then he told me I could not fly in a plane or go up into high mountain elevation that would cause or create pressure on my eye while the gas is in it. Also, I cannot lay flat on my back. So I told him, hey, I got to have a permanent crown put in a few days. And he said, oh, no, you're going to have to reschedule that. And so I did. You cannot bend at the waist or put any pressure on the eye whatsoever. Be very careful when the gas is in the eye. Cannot lift anything over a gallon of milk or heavier than a gallon of milk. He said I could look down at my phone or like reading a book as well, but for the most part wanted me to laying face down or on my left side so the gravity could keep the gas bubble in place to hold the retina so it could heal. He said I would be seen in the office the next day to take the patch off and explain how to use the eye drops. There were 4 different kinds of eye drops that would be used several times per day. We then talked about how the SF6 gas that was put in the back of my eye snuck around and went to the front of my eye. He said that was, he's never seen that before. So he asked me, what prior eye trauma have I had? And I couldn't think of anything other than the airbags that exploded in my face, one in 1998 and another in 2015, that could have weakened my eye. He said normally the gas doesn't sneak around to the front of the eye, so now he was worried it would cause pressure on my eye. So they wanted to check my pressure very often. So that's about it. Lay face down or on my left side while the gravity holds the gas bubble in place so the retina could heal. This went on for the next 27 days. Okay, so after the surgery's over, they put this big patch on my eye, and they instruct me that I'm allowed only to lay in a certain position. Pretty much it was on my left side all day, all night, for several weeks to come. The point was to keep the gravity, or to allow the gas bubble to float up to the top where the retina had been repaired, to hold the retina in place until it healed. 27 days of that, bedridden, allowed to get up to go to the bathroom, allowed to sit up and eat, for roughly a break of about 10 minutes every hour, somewhat like that, and then right back into that position again. In the meanwhile, I had to take eye drops. I think there was 4 different kind of eye drops. There was atropine, there was prednisone, there was antibiotic. I can't. These eye drops had to be placed in my eye about every hour. And of course I couldn't do it. My wife had to do that. So Holly took care of that. Holly put the eye drops in my eye right on schedule with the alarms clock set, and she never missed a beat on putting the eye drops in my eye. The next day after the surgery, I had to go back in to see Dr. Pratt, and he took the eye patch off, took a look at my retina, and was pleased that the retina was put back where it was supposed to be. I'm instructed for the next so many days to stay in bed, stay in that position to keep the gas bubble in place, and so on. I did see the doctor every few days, and they were checking the pressure of my eye to make sure it was not too high. I know my first pressure reading was about 27, and they didn't like that. They wanted it to continue down. They continued with the eye drops and all that. But my eye pressure did come down over days. It took days to come down into the 16 range where they wanted it to be. And basically we continued with the eye drop regimen and the doctor's orders of laying on my left side for about 27 days. Once the gas bubble was gone, then Dr. Pratt could get in there and actually see how the retina looked and the rest of my eye. And that's when they discovered that my optic nerve was swollen. The optic disc was swollen. They didn't like that. They didn't understand why it was swollen, and also they couldn't explain it. It was beyond their expertise why the optic nerve was swollen. All this time, I never regained my eyesight. My eyesight was always the same. It was messed up. Pretty much once the gas bubble was put in, I never could see anything. It was just nothing. So Dr. Mabry, Dr. McGee, all these doctors at the Arkansas Retina Center in Fort Smith were sure that once my swelling of the optic nerve goes down, that I'd regain some of my vision. Well, the problem was my optic nerve was swollen, so nobody would know until that would go down. So that's the problem there. So this was going to be weeks. They said it could take 5 to 6 months for that to go down. In the meantime, I'm pretty much seeing out of one eye. That's it. So Dr. Pratt, Dr. Mayberry basically told me, continue on with your daily activities, mowing your lawn, anything physical. It's not going to hurt your eye any worse than it's hurt already. So I continued on with my daily activities, taking care of the horses, donkeys, pigs, chickens, everything we have at the ranch, and mowing the lawns and all that. Not being able to see out of that eye, I was beginning to get used to it. My brain was adjusting, but they were concerned about that optic nerve. So they set me up with an ophthalmologist specialist in Little Rock, one of the most highest rated doctors, named Dr. Jennifer Doyle. So I went down to see Jennifer Doyle in Little Rock, and again the VFW stepped up. Kurt LeCarry, a good friend, drove me out there and to see Dr. Doyle. Dr. Doyle took a look at it and said, "Oh my," she says, your nerves are fried between your optic nerve and your brain." And this was about May 8th. So it was about a month after all this started. She explained how you have about 1 million nerves between your optic disc nerve and your brain. And she was estimating that approximately half, if not more, of those million nerves were fried, which would be about 500,000 nerves, or half of my nerves fried. That wasn't good news. And her opinion and diagnosis was that was permanent for the rest of my life, and I'm not going to get any vision back at all. They were concerned about my optic nerve being swollen, so they ordered blood tests early on. Dr. Pratt early on ordered a platelet test to make sure that I didn't have a tumor in my brain or lesions that might be causing the optic nerve swelling. So I went down to the VA clinic in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and had blood drawn and blood tests, and my blood came back good. My platelets were good, that if I had a tumor or lesions, that my platelet count would be high, as it would be trying to fight that. But no, it came back good. So they ruled out the lesions and they ruled out the tumor, but they still could not figure out why the optic nerve was swollen and such. Dr. Jennifer Doyle, the ophthalmologist in Little Rock, believed it was caused by the trauma of the surgery itself. That Dr. Pratt was in my eye longer than normal to get my retina fixed. And part of that is because I had the prior eye trauma with the 17 tears or more in my retina that he had to repair. And also because I waited too long to get my retina put back in place. When your retina begins to detach and you start seeing those crescents at the bottom of your eye visual field, that's an emergency. That's where you need to get your retina reattached ASAP. I waited 8 days. The more that retina detaches, the more it gets kinks, tears, and it becomes irreparable. And if you wait more than 15 days, they can't even put the retina back. You'll just be totally seeing blackness forever in that eye. You'll never regain vision out of that eye again. So don't wait 8 days, that's for sure, because that's what I did. Big mistake. So Dr. Pratt had a lot of work to do. He had a lot of tears to repair and a lot of work to get that retina back in place. So he was in my eye a little bit longer than normal, and we believe that that caused eye trauma to the optic nerve disc, causing it to hemorrhage and bleed and lose blood flow to certain parts of it, which caused it to atrophy. It became messed up at that point. However, during this time that Jennifer Doyle diagnosed that, my optic nerve was still swollen, so really we didn't know anything until that swelling would come down. In the meantime, I took a trip out to Utah to go see my granddaughter being born. Hey, that's Bruce kicking the tripod accidentally. I went out to Utah to go see my granddaughter being born, and I drove 4,000 miles with one eye. So by that time, we're now, what, 2 months, April, May, June, we were 2 months into it. My brain had already adjusted to being monocular, using one eye. So I was functioning on one eye. I drove, and everybody was telling me, don't drive at night, don't drive at night. Take use of ibuprofens in case your brain starts getting hurting, you know, because of your two eyes trying to fight to discover balance. You know, when you're doing contact lens and you have one in and one not in, and your eyes become unbalanced and they're fighting each other, that's when you can see, at least see something. I can't see anything out of that eye, so it's not a fight to regain balance. There's no fight. So my brain adjusts pretty quick to being monocular. So I went in and drove out to Utah, and when it came nighttime, I was driving. I said, I'll pull off to a rest stop and just rest, and I had no problem. I was like, I see fine. So I drove on. There was several hours that I drove at night, and I drove on the way back at night, and some of it. So that wasn't an issue. Seeing with one eye isn't an issue if you get your brain adjusted to it and you become monocular. So I get back from Utah back to Arkansas, and on June, I think it was 14th, or no, excuse me, June 19th. On June 19th, I have my next appointment with Dr. Mayberry, and I go in and he takes a look at my eye and he says, oh, Brian, the optic nerve is no longer swollen. It's no longer hemorrhaging. You know, they had shot me up with dye to see the hemorrhaging. It wasn't bleeding. It wasn't swollen anymore. So basically it's like, what now? That's when he diagnosed it with optic atrophy. He says, your optic disc is messed up. It's damaged. We don't see it healing from this point on. It's just what you have is what you have. That was pretty devastating news to me. That was June 19, 2018. Once Jennifer Doyle told me that my nerves were fried, she wanted to have an MRI done to make sure there was nothing going on in my head or nothing else going on with me. So on May 24th, she set me up with an MRI at what used to be the Cooper Clinic in Fort Smith, Arkansas. It is now called something else, but it's there next to Mercy Hospital in Fort Smith. I went into there and had my MRI done on May 24th. The results of the MRI showed that there was no damage to my nerves between my optic nerve disc and my brain. That 1 million plus count nerves were fine. There was nothing wrong with those nerves. I was like, wow, that's great news. I still can't see. So, on June 19, Dr. Mayberry sees that my optic disc is not swollen anymore, and now finds no other reason that I can't see other than that disc is messed up permanently, and that he declared or diagnosed me with optic atrophy. In other words, I'm not going to be able to see on that eye again for the rest of my life, according to what the experts say. At this point in my life, I've accepted it. I went to the VA and got a new prescription for my glasses. Again, this time it was Dr. Kelsey Hagen who looked at me, who was the original doctor who saw my retina detached in the first place. And so Dr. Hagen made me some glasses to the best of her ability that would serve my right eye with what I can see. And what I can see out of my right eye that's messed up is pretty much your hand in front of your face. I can see a hand in front of my face. And sometimes I'll get your fingers right. If you're holding up 2 fingers or if you're holding up 3 or 4, I may get that right sometimes. I used to be able to see numbers on my cell phone pad, on the digit pad, 4 or 5 at a time. Now I can only see maybe 1. And that's if I adjust my head around to see it. What I can see with my bad eye right now is when they show a chart that you're doing a 20/20 test, I can see the white outline of a square that makes a chart out there, but I can't see detail in it. There's no way. I can see a blob that represents a person. I can see a table in front of me, although I can't see detail of the table. I can see the TV on in the room, the light, the square light of the screen, but I can't tell what's on TV. I can't see detail of it. I can see a little bit. So at this point in my life, we are now, this is July 7th. I'm accepted that I'm monocular at this point, and now have to adjust my life to that. I created this channel, One-Eyed Brian, on YouTube so that I can give updates on what I find out about being monocular in the world of people who are monocular, to explore what we can do. I'm a licensed commercial pilot, instrument rated instructor. It's going to be awfully hard for me to pass my medical exam to keep my pilot license. However, while I was visiting my sister out in Utah, Leslie, who flies helicopters, together we did some research on the FAA websites and found out that yes, you can fly airplanes with one eye, and that there are one-eyed airline pilots out there. Hello, you might be flying in an airplane and not even know your pilot is monocular, only has one eye. Who knew? So I rejoiced at that I'm not going to lose my pilot license, my commercial license, or any of that stuff. There are restrictions that you must meet with your good eye, and that's being able to see at least 105 degrees. You know, I see way more than that with my good eye. To be able to be corrected to 20/20 with your good eye, I'm corrected to 20/20 with my good eye. The color, the depth, the 3D stuff like that. You have to pass those tests, which I can with my bad eye, with my good eye. Sorry, I can pass those with my good eye. So I'm lucky to at least have one eye still. I take care of it. I do a little bit more protection. I exercise more protection with my good eye. Like if I'm sawing wood or using a weed eater or something, I definitely use goggles. Under a car, under a truck, working on it. Anything that you're gonna have debris come into your face, I surely protect my good eye, because that's all I have left. Lighting fireworks, no way without eye protection. Just no way. I'm not gonna lose my good eye without trying to protect it. They told me, Dr. Mayberry, who's the best in his field in the retina, told me that there's a 10% chance I could have this happen to my other eye. They called it an eye stroke when I had that retina reattachment operation. My optic nerve had an eye stroke. Basically, I have a 10% chance of that happening in my other eye, and that 10% is exacerbated or elevated by high blood pressure and by sleep apnea. Those are the two high risks he identified. I don't have sleep apnea and I don't have high blood pressure, so that's good for me. But if you're out there and you have high blood pressure or sleep apnea and you have eye atrophy in one eye, wow, you need to be on top of that. I don't have sugar diabetes. I don't have a lot of other risks that are bad for your eyes. So in the last few months, I've changed my diet, and I've now taken intake more of dietary supplements that help your eyes, such as Alverity, the antioxidants, honey, avocado, all kinds of stuff. Everything that's on the list, which I'll have on my website, that can help your eyes. I'm not giving up hope. That optic nerve disc looks like a little plasma ball that you touch and the little lightning bolts hit you. That's a biological piece of flesh. That's a living organism. It's a living thing. There's no reason it can't heal or replace itself or repair itself. The experts are saying, no, it's not going to repair. It's not going to heal up. Not necessarily. It could. Everybody is different. I made this blog to show what happened to me with my experience. Everybody out there has a different experience. Everybody out there has a different biological makeup, different DNA, reacts different to medication, reacts different to dietary supplements, reacts different to what happened to them. Everybody's different. So all I can do is give you information on what happened to me and maybe give you some hope that you will regain your eyesight. I didn't regain mine yet. We are now, April, May, June, July. We're 3 months into this problem with my eye, where I had no problem before that. So we'll keep updating when something does happen that's for the better. In the meantime, I accepted it, that it's what it is, and that I'm monocular. And I'm going to live my life as that. But with all hope, not giving up, that I can regain some vision in this messed up eye. Another thing about being monocular and your licenses, such as your driver's license, your pilot license, and things like that, the neuro-ophthalmologists, the experts on the eye, your optic nerve, on the paperwork that you got to take to the license bureaus, whether it be your driver's license or whether it be your pilot license, when you take your paperwork to your aeromedical examiner, they're going to want 6 months minimum of being monocular after your eye has been diagnosed as being blind. Basically, from the date that your eye is kaput, 6 months has to go by for you to be declared monocular ready, so as they call it. I feel I'm ready now. I feel I can fly a plane, drive a car. I drive today. I drive no problem. But the standard wait period is 6 months, and that's what most states require for your driver's license. It's what the pilot license, the FAA, requires. For your bare minimum medical certificate, which they've redone the third class medical. If you're a pilot and you're familiar with the third class medical certificate, it is redone now to be a little bit less stringent in their rules, so somebody who is monocular can get their certificate. Me, I don't want to give up commercial flying. I don't want to give up teaching. I don't want to give up my commercial pilot license. So I'm required to have a second class medical certificate, and for airline pilots, a first class. I'm still within reach of all that. With my good eye, I can still pass all that. But once again, I'm only 3 months into my atrophy. So I have to wait the 6-month period, 3 more months, to get declared monocular and pass the tests required from the ophthalmologist. Those tests plus the declaration of 6 months is what you need to renew your driver's license or renew your pilot license, any of your commercial or professional licenses that require that documentation. So that's the limit. That's where the bar is drawn. So, this is One Eye Brian out here in Arkansas. I live in Crawford County, Arkansas. Yeah, I have a ranch. And I take care of my animals. I do everything physical and all that. I'm going to take my patch off and show you that my eye looks fine. It's a little watery. It's my eye looks just fine. I'm sure you can see it. It's not bloodshot. It doesn't look anything like it did after the surgery. However, I can't see out of this eye other than something right in front of my face, like right there. Normally I wear sunglasses when I'm out instead of an eye patch. An eye patch to me looks cool, but not all the time. Sometimes people might get uncomfortable around you, like, dude's wearing an eye patch, But that's just some people. Other people think it's cool. I like being a pirate one. When I saw Dr. Doyle, Jennifer Doyle in Little Rock, she did a light test on me, flashing these really high bright lights in my face, and noticed that only this eye pupil restricted and this one did not. At that point, she thought that this nerve that controls your dilation was fried. And so my pupil was dilated for a month. Even when I went to the MRI on May 24th and such, it was dilated. I always wear my sunglasses out in the day because it's not good for your eye. However, when I got back from my trip from Utah, Dr. Mayberry at the Retina Clinic in Fort Smith did another test like that, very similar, and found that my eye did restrict down. So then he dilated it again to make sure, and it dilated, and it restricted and dilated. So that nerve that Jennifer Doyle thought was fried didn't fry. It was okay. It was for some reason in a coma when she did the light test in Little Rock. So that's kind of weird. It's just weird that sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. Well, you'll know if your eye's dilated. The sun and light will hurt your eye. It'll give you a headache. Like, it's bright. So just keep your sunglasses with you. So that's definitely a must. But when that nerve worked, it gave me hope that, hey, maybe some of my nerves can regenerate. Maybe some healing repairs can happen. Again, based on your diet, based on your lifestyle, and based on your genes, your own DNA. Everybody's different. Everybody repairs different, heals different. I don't smoke cigarettes. That doesn't help your eyes at all. I don't do drugs, like anything that's illegal and stuff. I try to stay healthy. Again, I'm retired Army. I exercise, I walk, I push mower. I work out. I had a good heart, good blood, good report on my health and my physicals. So this eye problem was new to me. It just hit me like a baseball bat. All of a sudden I'm blind in one eye. But other people have it worse. Other people that have diabetes, that smoke, that don't have a healthy lifestyle, you've got to change it. You've got to change it or you're going to get worse. So definitely start a regimen. Start a blog like this. I watched a lot of blogs on YouTube of people that had retina detachment, and I've got to know a lot of them, watching what happened to them. And many of them regained some of their eyesight after the reattachment. Again, I did not regain any eyesight. I'm still blind in that eye, 3 months into this ordeal. So we'll see what happens. Again, this was the long version of what happened to me. I'll create a short version, so if you want to show your friends a short version, I'll have that up on my website, or up on my YouTube channel as well. I don't have any update for now until later, so for now, thanks for watching. And if you want to subscribe, you'll get a message when I upload another video. But I'm going to keep track of what one-eyed people can do in this world, as far as licenses, as far as professional careers and whatnot, what your limitations would be and what you can and cannot do. Because as of now, if there's a club of monocular people, I'm in it. So I'll be 55 in September, so I'm not real young, but I'm not way up old either. So anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Great summer 2018.